Oh, baby, another one. Last time was crazy. It makes sense, after we discussed it a bit and a bunch of you had some really good stuff to add on to it, I think, in your own interpretations of different things and stuff. So that was all great. But it made enough sense. We were able to pick up on some stuff and why they're kind of acting out the way that they are, Saki specifically. But just the way that the relationship is kind of forming, the way that they are, the type of people that they are, the honesty that they can have within themselves and towards each other, the feelings that they all have too. It all is extremely interesting and entertaining for me. And I think it does a really good job at diving into a lot of people's minds, or not a lot of people, but at least these characters' minds a little bit, how even sometimes, the things that they say and the way that they view things to be rational in some sort of ways, at certain times they can either make justifications for why what they're doing, the excuses for that, and sometimes how they can also take that and just lying to themselves, or even actually utilizing that stuff to be honest with themselves, and the way that they can kind of twist and pull all this stuff is really interesting. And I'm interested to see how that dynamic progresses itself a little bit more, as they were able to learn a lot more about each other and progress their relationship a bit after what ended up occurring through Saki's actions, right? Through the communication that they were able to have once again afterwards. And communication's been such a strong thing throughout this for the two of them going forward. I'm assuming it will continue on that way. So I have lots of interest to see exactly what is to come here. This was like such a big moment between them, so I do wonder if this is like breaking time to introduce maybe new character, and if not introduce new character, maybe reintroduce somebody like Maya and actually give her like proper screen time and stuff to it, or if we're just solely continuing relationship and development and stuff and feelings between the two of them. But typically, like, you have big moments and things like that that kind of get some sort of resolution by the back end of what we had there, and then you have to introduce some sort of new obstacle thing to kind of come in. So I'm curious, while still having all those unresolved things from earlier in the background. So we'll see if that actually happens, or if I'm just completely wrong on everything and making random guesses. But hopefully you guys enjoy. If you like it all, like and subscribe. And if you feel free to stick around for the discussion in the comments with this episode of series. Let's get going. Episode 4. Bro, it's literally red. Too hot for this shit. 義理の妹という存在はつまり他人だ。Are you sure about that? いきなりの再婚。それによって生じた兄弟関係なんて遺伝子が主張するような親近感はなく、互いに積み重ねた歳月もないのだ。親父とアキコさんが結婚し、アキコさんの娘 We don't feel so much like that anymore. 1ヶ月が過ぎた今。Natural progression, brother. 義妹という他人が極めて微妙なポジションにある存在だと気づき始めている。ルームシェアしているだけの他人。She's moving a little bit further past a stranger. ただ、ではどういう存在なのかと問われると、答えに詰まる。Lost for a feeling for it, or for a label for it? ただいま、綾瀬さん。私に現代文を教えて。Nobody had fucking time for that. What are you talking about? Brother has his own studying to do, has his own job to do, has his own time he has to spend in school. That's his own life he has to live. And you want him to tutor you? The fuck is that? 何点だったの? 38点. Ooh, I was gonna say 37. I should have said it. Now I look like I'm lying. 全然わからなくて。なんか意外かも。綾瀬さん、他人に気遣えるタイプなのに。そう見える？うん。少なくとも俺に対しては、こっちのスタンスを把握してすり合わせようとしてくれてる。逆だよ、浅村くん。逆？他人の気持ちがわからないからすり合わせが必要なの。夏休みに歩行を受けないといけないんだって。We don't want that. 避けたい展開だね。夏休みから普通にバイトしようと思ってたから。ごめん。俺が高額バイトを見つけられなかった。Don't keep apologizing for that. いや、浅村くんを責めてるわ。けど、小説問題の後の方は空欄が目立ってる。これ、
小説で苦戦して時間が足りなくなったパターンで合ってる？
まるで見てきたみたいに言うね。
検討外れ。
大当たり。だからこそ痛いところを突かれ。
Yeah, I don't really appreciate that, but I do at the same time.
不遠慮だった。
許した。あと本気で教えてくれるからこそ痛いところに踏み込んだのに思わず。
綾瀬さんがどこが理解できないのか箇条書きであげた方が早いかも。
三四郎の考えてること、峰子が考えてること、あと二人とも行動の意味が全然わからない。
三四郎が峰子に惚れてるってことはわかるよね。
そうなの？惚れてるって、つまり恋愛的な意味で。
Maybe you just don't understand the
そう。
concept of feelings in general.
時の嫉妬心とかわかりやすくない？
No, just thought that's yeah. She okay. We have to start at the beginning.
嫌がってるの？
Yeah, why would that be a
で
problem?
も本人にやめてほしいって言ってないよね。嫌なら主張すればいいのに。
Yeah, he should. You're right, but most people don't.
コミュニケーションは心理的ハードルが高いんじゃないかな。
And she can't connect at all with that. That's complete opposite of her.
言葉にしない人の気持ち。
Yup.
正直よくわからない。
じゃあ本音を言えない場面を想像したらどうかな。初恋の人に対しての気持ちとか。
初恋の人に対しての気持ち。
Was there one?
恋愛感情に心乱されて正しい選択ができなかった経験ない？
There was this time the other night where I jumped on top of somebody.
浅村くんはあるの？
言われてみたらないか。
Ah, okay. Thought we were about to get something good, something juicy.
ダメ？
別に。ただ、
How can we solve?
としたら現代文の点数とは無関係って結論になりそうだ。
感情移入で解くのをやめよう。
I think that's a lot more along the
読
lines.
めないと割り切ってさ。
当てずっぽう作戦？
そうじゃなくて、例えば数式に当てはめるパズルみたいに。
The ability to read between the
綾瀬さん、
lines.
歴史は高得点だったよね。
うん、まあ暗記すればいいし。
意外と何が書かれてるか把握しやすい。
Just remember why they did what they did and what they were
紐
doing.
付けしていければ理解できるようになるんじゃないかな。
Oh, I guess you could do that.
確かにその方が得意かも。
とりあえず練習してみよう。出題されるパターンは数通りしかないから多分当日までに対応できると思うよ。最後も正解。すごいね。さすが綾瀬さん。これで題材になりそうな小説をマスターしたら再テストはもう怖くないよ。
ありがとう。教え方上手だった。
そんなことないよ。
Good teacher in the environment he's in here.
笑った？
どうだろう、よくわからない。おはよう、浅村くん。
ああ、今朝はいいよ。適当にトーストでも焼いて食べるから。
なんで？
勉強に集中したいでしょ。浅村先生としては再テストに受かってほしいし、
Our
勉強
interests
に集
conflict.
中してくれた方が助かるよ。
ありがとう。
Chris turning his whole life into teaching her. Maya, go talk to him. Go talk to him. I want to talk to you. I feel like you have not been as relevant as I want you to be. Now I'm placing my own desires on the story. Please feed into it, author.
お兄ちゃん。
なんだ、奈良坂さんか。
今日も浅村家の匂いさせてるね。
ちょっと奈良坂さん近いんだけど。
私とお兄ちゃんの仲じゃん。
だから学校でその呼び方は。
こんなん普通のスキンシップだよ、兄貴。ね、兄くん。ねえねえ。兄上様。
What is wrong with
その
her?
バリエーション。
どんな呼び方が一番刺さるのかなって。
None of them.
今日再テストはなし？
ないない。
I'm really smart.
私、9教科総合808点満だよ。
Jesus.
800。
That's insane.
あ いた。
Yeah.
意外だって思ったでしょ。
すみません、正直その通りです。
ひどいな。これでも学年上位なんだぞ。
Are ya?
高校では平均90点近くをずーっとキープしてるんだから。
はい、そんな優秀な楢坂さんに教えて
Give us some help, yeah.
なんだね、言ってみたまえ。
Now I'm son? I thought we were brother.
さっきのために学習効率を上げる方法を探しているねえ。
What a guy, what a
何か
guy.
含みを感じる。やり方さえ覚えたら俺が手伝えることない気がしてて。
ああ、さっきはそうかもね。
だから他に何か力になれることはないかな。
Hmm.
作業用 BGM を聞いてるくらいかな。
それはいいかも。楢坂さんのおすすめのジャンルは？
ないよ。
え？
アプリのおすすめを適当に聞いてるだけだよ。自分で探すの面倒いもん。
あ、そう。
でも浅村くん、ほんといいお兄ちゃんじゃん。どんと胸を張ればいいのに。
この程度でいいやにぶるのは。
私なんか弟にご飯作ってあげるだけでぶるよ。
弟いるんだ。
Somebody else does that.
めっちゃいる。
大家族なんだね。
100人。
What?
憂鬱そうだね、後輩くん。
Oh, yes, the other highlight of my episodes.
そりゃ週末は人が増える分面倒なお客さんも増えますし。
Valid
こら
opinions.
お客様になんてこと言うのかな、君は。
普段読売先輩の方が言ってません？こういうこと。
Yeah, but you tell me not to.
お疲れ様です。
お疲れ様です。ほんと他の人には見せないんですね、本性。
Just you.
大学でがっかりされ疲れちゃったからね。後輩くんだけが私のすべてを知ってるんだよ。
変な表現やめてください。
Yeah, we must be in the rainy season, because my god, it rains every fucking day in this show.
もう持ってかがんだり立ち上がったりを繰り返して腰はもうバッキバキだし。
Old woman.
大げさな。
もう年だから筋肉痛は2日遅れでやってくるし、肩こりはひどいし動悸も息切れもするし、後輩くんに介護してほしいのじゃよ。
帰ります。
よよよ。
Come on, entertain her at least.
新しい女ができたから私を捨てるのね。もっと私に優しくしてよ。今から寂しくぼっちご飯だし、可愛い妹さんとの体験談でも聞かせてよ。
My sister tried to seduce me. Yeah, drop that one on her, see what happens.
ならおすすめあるかも。どれだったかな。あ、見つけ
She's
た。
gonna put on the most hardcore
私の勉
shit.
強に集中しやすい音楽が欲しくていろいろ探してたの。じゃあ再生するよ。
はい。
I actually don't know if there's ever been like a study or anything done that like showcases certain types of musics and things work better. I'm pretty sure I've read once about that, about like actual music and stuff working to increase like productivity and stuff, but I don't know if there's actually ever been one on the genres and the types that you're listening to. I could just be spewing nonsense right now, but I'm pretty sure I've read that.
すごくいい。
勉強用の BGM に試してみたらどうかなって。
ありがとう。でもよく知ってたね。
Oh, I don't.
実は俺も初耳だったり、バイト先の先輩に教えてもらったんだ。
あ、あの人でしょ。美人で博識なお姉さん。
ああ、うん。
That's a
いい
description.
情報は。
その先輩、音楽のセンスもいいんだね。
Yeah, it's
でも
everything.
本人のキャラは天然というか、ユーモラスとかの方向なんだよな。
どっちにしても面白そうな人。
Absolutely.
あ、それは保証する。本当に俺、綾瀬さんからもらいっぱなしだからさ。 こんなことしかできないけど、少しでも返せたらなって思って。
ありがとう。今夜から試してみるね。
あ、そのままでいいよ。洗い物は俺の方でやるから。
ありがとう。
She's getting better at letting him just kind of go along and do things and not putting up the fight.
おやすみ、浅村くん。
おやすみ、綾瀬さん。
An ED? An ED? An ED? Wonder what the fuck they used to make this, dude. So interesting. What I'm about to say might come off weird. I was thinking about how I was gonna open this, so that I immediately it came to mind that I was like, people might take that wrong. So I'll explain it a bit. But I was going to say, this episode is essentially the music that got recommended. Like, background lo-fi music is essentially how I feel about this episode. And it's not to mean like it's background shit, it's not important, like, don't, like none of that. But it's more to get across the point that it's not like what the first few episodes really were in any sort of way, and to indicate like the drastic shift. It's not even drastic, but just general shift that we're having in development between all the characters and the way that things are going to kind of play out here. There's no real messy, unnecessary, dramatic things for us to kind of overly go through and do here. It's literally just the general daily life of dude feels like he wants to kind of help some people out and he needs to figure out how to, and girl is slowly opening up and accepting the idea that she can accept help and things from other people, not to put up too much of a fight with it. And it's just like, it's kind of that, like, there's not a lot of substance like really to the things that are actually occurring this episode, for the reasons that I don't think my discussion in any sort of ways can actually end up being too long, like the other episodes kind of have. And that's okay, that's perfectly fine. I think it nailed everything that it kind of needed to, and slowly developing and setting up some other stuff that it is. I talked about at the beginning how we have to maybe introduce a new character or introduce a new dynamic or something new to push us forward, because we kind of resolved, or not really resolved, but pushed through the first barrier that we kind of had already. And whether this is utilized as a way of setup, so we're going to slowly ease our way into it, or it's literally just used as a tone shift to like something else entirely, it does either of the things that it kind of wants to, or it needs to, in my opinion. So there's nothing really upsetting in the slightest about that. I'm just going to go through the episode because I don't have anything I want to actively go into and talk about, I think, here. We open with a similar dialogue to the original opening of the actual series, but instead adding a little bit more onwards to this, of not just being complete strangers due to the fact that we're living together and we're in a complete different situation than we were before, and things feel completely different, but maybe not realizing the actual feelings, what they actually mean or what they actually are. But even if you do at the same time, what is the label or the thing that you would actually put that on? I don't know, right? And that's the issue that a lot of people have, especially with certain relationships and things, where people want to label things and not knowing exactly what that is, or each person not being on the same page with their own feelings and stuff towards that can create some sort of issue. So maybe we should avoid that in general, right? Maybe we should be direct about each of those things and kind of come to a conclusion together. But instead, this isn't that sort of relationship, so it doesn't matter necessarily what we put on it. But at the same time, what even is it? I don't know how to answer any of that. It's a pretty interesting thing overall. We see our first glimpse, and we open and end with different things here that I think really demonstrate growth and development between the dynamic overall between the characters, the closeness that they're having, the confidence that maybe they have within each other, in themselves, and the reliance that they're slowly building upon each other, which I think is awesome. So the first example would actually be this one, where she immediately stands up the moment he comes into the room. He also immediately greets her the moment that he comes into the room. These are two things that wouldn't actually happen before. It'd be slow, sluggish conversation. It'd be like analyzing the other person, deciding how they want to properly respond and take it, and instead she immediately gets up, gets right in his face as he like openly says something to her and greets her the moment he walks in without any sort of hesitation, and asks to be tutored in something. This isn't something that she would actively do if this was episode 1, 2, or 3, right? This is the growth through the closeness that they've kind of had within their relationship, the comfortability that she has being around him, all of that on full display actually here. And then the entire conversation kind of stems from here, the struggles between figuring out characters and the struggles of understanding things. She has an interesting way of this because it more so is coming down from the inability to put herself in the shoes of the characters and fully understand their emotions. And even if she can't, can she separate herself and view it and then be able to try and put herself in the shoes and understand them? It's a interesting thing because it's a similar thing to essentially what I would try to do here, right? And that's what I'm doing on the channel, where I come in and I try to put myself in the position of each of the characters, walk myself through possibly what we've demonstrated for what their thought process would be, what I believe my own thought process would kind of be, and then step outside of each of them and be like a third party observing and watching on, making commentary on those things, and then providing more insight within this actual area here of how I take each of the scenarios unfolding, why it either makes sense or doesn't for me, how maybe I would have reacted or acted in each of the situations too, and just kind of compile a bunch of that information and stuff into what we have here, which is essentially all that you're really trying to do. And that's what happens within a lot of literature and books and these things, and especially within school when you have to write essays on these things and kind of analyze these characters for what they are, what your interpretation and everything is. And sometimes that stuff can get kind of messy because sometimes the author could have very clear intentions and things, and you could take things an entirely different way. And then your teacher could come out of their way and be like, no, you were fucking wrong. That's not what it was supposed to be. And it's like, well, what the fuck are you talking about? Because maybe I view it or take things entirely different. And apparently you're in the wrong for that, right? Like, so things can get a little bit weird. It can get a little bit messy. But if we're in a situation where they are open and accepting of people having their own perspectives and viewpoints on these things, that's a great thing. But the problem is Saki has zero clue how to digest and really comprehend any of these things that are happening, right? Her understanding between reading these characters and then fully being able to understand their emotions completely conflict with who she is as a person, and it causes a big problem, right? Have you ever had any friends or anybody else in your life where you've seen them doing things and you're like, what the fuck are you thinking? What is going through your head? Why would you do that, right? I think that all the time. I have people around me that are close to me that I think that all the time. But at the same time, I will try and stop myself for a second, view it from their perspective. Okay, I can see why they're doing it. Are you stupid? Yes. But can I get it? Yeah. I understand where you're coming from there. And her ability doesn't really extend that far. Her ability goes to the, what the fuck are you even doing? Why are you guys not just talking to each other? Why are you not just sitting down and openly communicating about these things, or declaring like barriers right away, or having like whatever it is that you need to just to have this open dialogue with the other person? And she can't get that because that's who she is as a person, but she can't get that because she's never really gone through and done any of that. And he talks about later, you know, different things about regarding like falling in love and all those other things that have happened. And she's like, I have literally zero clue how the fuck to do literally any of this stuff, in complete confusion overall. And she's unable to get it, comparing it to her history and her understanding of like things regarding, you know, that subject, and being able to just literally read those things, not have to fully like digest and put into words and convey your own like sort of feelings, or maybe what the other people were feeling at those certain times and places, but instead just really remember names and what they did and all these historic things, and it's just literally memory. Whereas here it takes a little bit more effort, it takes a little bit more of creative thinking, and she's suffering with that and has an inability to do that. I struggle from the exact same thing, but weirdly I don't struggle from it in sort of media like this. I struggle when I'm reading like a novel, or if any of you are like light novel readers, which I know that's what this comes from, I really can't sit there and read an actual book and be able to tell you what's going on. I find myself rereading the same lines over and over. I find myself struggling to really get into the own character's head and understand them or whatever. I need more cues. Like I need more visual representation to allow that to work for me, which is why I've always struggled with those things. That's why within school I always did struggle within that sort of subject and everything too, especially growing up and everything. And my reading level, not maybe the greatest either, because I struggled so heavily when it came to actually interpreting what these people are thinking just from reading the dialogue, as opposed to taking in the visual cues and everything else that comes with it. It's really difficult. Sometimes it's why I struggle where if I'm listening to like audio only stuff, I can't really visualize it maybe in the way that I really want to either. It's a little bit weird. of a thing. And I don't there's probably plenty of other people who kind of suffer with that too. But I struggle greatly, which is why manga's such a wonderful thing for me, because I'm able to read it and have the images, right? It's by anime, so great for me too. I'm able to do it, or other TV series and movies and things like that too. It works really well for me. She doesn't struggle in the same exact way, but it's similar enough, I would say, for why she's not able to kind of get into that. Me, it's just I get really lost and confused. Her, it's more so not being able to actively like put herself in the shoes of that person or anything. But yeah, she's at a complete loss here, essentially. And we're trying to get down to the basics of it. And she has absolutely no clue why each of the characters are acting the way that they are, how they feel, why they feel, what these feelings or emotions or anything really even are. She's very straightforward with the things that she's done within her life. And if it doesn't apply to her, if it holds no relevance in any sort of way, what is there for me, right? And she's out of it completely. Brother's a good teacher, apparently. He does his thing. You smiling? I don't know. Can't say that. Yeah, she was pretty happy with it. Made sure that she had to get up on her, out of her way there. Even here, I'm just grabbing something, even though she gets up immediately to do it. Don't even worry about it. I'd much rather you actually do this despite your promise. Learning to let go, learning to settle down, learning to not have to deal with that as much. And this is something that's weighing heavy on him, right? He has so many of these other obligations and things he needs to do, but instead, this is where his primary focus is actually on. He truly seems to care, and I don't know if it's just because he cares for her and he wants to see the success come from that, or if it's literally just in his nature and who he is. And there's a possibility that literally can just showcase his character enough to the point of we probably have a good idea of where he's headed in his future, whether it's being a teacher or whether it's in a position in some sort of way that allows him to see the growth and the success and just overall helping of other people. It seems to literally just be the type of thing that he's into, which is we can see on his own break here. He doesn't have to be doing this, but instead is searching for new methods and things to do. Maya comes in. She's very, very fun, brings a different level of energy that we don't really have. I love her constantly calling him brother, the sniffing and everything. It's weird. She's definitely weird, but she's fun and adds a different layer to something that we don't necessarily have in the show. We have with his coworker, but not on the same exact level. She's a little bit different with the ways that she kind of presents things. Despite the way that she comes off here, she's extremely smart and she's great at absolutely everything. We need some help. Oh, you want to help? What a great fucking guy. Maybe music can help. I don't know. I don't really have anything in specific that I like, but that could definitely be a good thing according to her. We talked about it too. I don't know. I've read stuff and I am aware. I'm pretty positive, unless the things I've read have been completely wrong. I haven't fact checked that stuff enough. That music can typically help improve that sort of thing when people are trying to study or people are trying to learn or do whatever. Having some sort of thing going in the background, this extra stimulation is typically a good thing. Now I don't know if certain genres and things are meant like really good for that. I'm assuming lo-fi type of things usually are. That's a big thing that gets promoted, especially with on YouTube and like the loops and stuff, and people always talking about using those. So that'd be my assumption, but it could be anything really. I'm weird with it because sometimes I would use it, but sometimes I wouldn't, because sometimes I would get too distracted on it and I would need nothing but silence overall. But then sometimes I would just get completely lost in the thing I'm doing, and I would just have all that stuff, just like the music get sunk into the background, and I felt like it would help. So I was like weird with it. It was never like a one size fits all type of thing. Like it was never just that this works. It just depended on the day, the mood, the material that I was kind of like tackling and stuff. Like it's really a weird thing. I don't know. We go to work and we have some other stuff that we have to end up figuring out. Weird with her personality and everything. She's really fun. I only show it to you, of course, though. And then we end up talking a little bit about some stuff that we have to do. They have fun conversations and things between them, get to showcase personalities and everything, but nothing too much I want to go into. Music, yes, let's figure it out. Here, I got some shit for you. Let's get a little bit close together. And I'll show you what it is. And then we get a fun little montage. All the visuals look really fucking excellent for this. I don't think I actually made a mention of that or said anything, so if all that gets cut from the reaction, sorry. But it all looks really fucking good. Like, just even shots like this look fucking fantastic. And I'm a big fan overall of it. The grain and everything they put on it too. I think it all works itself out really well. And Saki seems to be pretty happy about that, putting into some questions about this beautiful senpai that we work with, right? Things with there, maybe putting into question a little bit of his feelings is a question that we had before, you know, that you're loving of somebody else or somebody else special in your life like that. Oh, I don't have anybody, but it seems like this person's just perfect on all ends and might work absolutely perfect for you. Extremely interesting, though. No, this isn't much, but I really hope it returns the favor. It's funny how each of them keep constantly thinking that they're not doing enough and wanting to one-up and and do something else in order to help somebody else. Don't worry about it. I'll do the dishes. Once again, another example of her just letting something go. And then the quickness of her just being like, all right, good night, being able to willingly accept that and do that. And also him immediately responding. There's no hesitation. There's nothing there. The growth and everything kind of between them. It's really interesting and fun to see. This is so interesting to me. The style of this, I have zero fucking clue how to even describe or what they did. It reminds me so much of, not even gonna have it. I can't get it in my head, but it reminds me of something. Like a certain type of thing where you create like models and stuff and they utilize them. But it's not the same. It's a little different, but it reminds me of something else I've seen, and I'm not going to be able to get it. So let me know a little bit. But I think like visually the style that they're going for look really good. The people themselves feel a little weird when they show up, but it looks really cool. Finally an ED though. Only took the first arc. And with that, we move forward. I don't know if that means, you know, what we have in store, how this is going to evolve into more things kind of coming up and what it actually is going to mean for the characters and stuff going forward. But it is a good job at indicating the growth and stuff between them, the acceptance and the closeness that they're kind of having, the lack of being strangers overall, as discussed earlier on. All that stuff slowly moving in, easing in together, and is looking nice. So I think that's pretty fucking cool so far. I don't really have too much of a read, I think, on where we're going to head with any of it, though. So excited enough to see where that comes. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you liked it all, the like and subscribing reminds me, feel free to check out the other videos and channel. Comments with this Twitter series. I'll be back episode 5 next week. I hope you have a great one. Peace.